Hello, hello, hello. The national TV schedule is set to release soon. The EuroBasket prep games are underway, and the Magic are the odds on favorite to get Trae. That's right, we're talking national TV, prep games, and Trae. This is the Orlando Magic Nation, your source for all things Orlando Magic on YouTube. For Orlando Magic fans, by an Orlando Magic fan. Just want to thank you very much for clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. While you're here, click subscribe so you can join the Orlando Magic Nation, as well as not miss out on any content that I produce. Also, while you're here clicking, click that like button. It really helps the channel by getting it in front of more eyeballs. Lastly, this doesn't have to be a one-way street. So, in the comments below, let me know if you think the Magic should trade for or acquire Trae in some way, or how many national TV games do you think we should be in? Or how you thought our guys did in EuroBasket prep? Whatever it is, put it down in the comments. So let's get started with the national TV. There have been a few tweets about the national TV schedule. Today, they talked about how it's going to be released tomorrow, or it's going to be on Good Morning America and other outlets that it'll be released tomorrow. So last year, the Magic had 5 games initially scheduled for national television. Then they ended up getting up to a total of 7. Unfortunately, we were 1-6 in those games, so we didn't really put our best foot forward when it came to having a national audience. So already we can see that the East is getting the short end of the stick because in the opening night, it's Houston versus Oklahoma City and Golden State versus the Lakers. The Houston Rockets obviously just acquired Kevin Durant, and he's going back to Oklahoma City when they're going to be raising the banner. So that's going to be a bit awkward. But hey, I think that's why they wanted eyeballs on that game, which makes sense, as well as they want to squeeze as much as they can out of Curry and LeBron while they're still around. But I'm still a bit surprised that they didn't have an East team in there. We still have Cleveland versus New York. Now, Cleveland and New York, again, are the kind of the top 2 teams that everyone expects to do well in the East next year. They are going to be playing on Christmas. As we see, they're the first game on Christmas. So it's Cavaliers versus the Knicks. Then the other games are the Spurs, Thunder, Rockets, Lakers, Mavs, Warriors, and Timberwolves, Nuggets. So out of 10 teams there, only 2 are from the East. That right there is showing you, I guess, at least what the NBA or at least the media partners believe in the East. We all know that it's an wide open race after the first 2 teams. At least, again, that's what the consensus is saying. The Magic, by most accounts, are the 3rd team in the East. So I'm surprised we didn't end up on either one of those. Not too surprised. We don't really get too many national national television games, but I thought there's enough hoopla. There's Paolo, there's Franz. So especially if Franz balls out in EuroBasket, and Paolo will likely be an All NBA player this upcoming season. So I thought they might want a few more eyeballs in the Magic, at least in those two showcase days. But if that's not the case, that's not the case. The Magic will have to earn it like they always do. Moving The reason why this is also important is because, as I mentioned in previous videos, if you click on those, it's about media narrative. We need media narrative for certain aspects when it comes to the awards at the end of the year. So again, for Paolo to get All NBA, it will help, or even be in the MVP conversation. It helps to have national media audience. So it helps that he's on national TV more often because that's going to get eyeballs, that's going to get word of mouth, that's going to get the more writers to write about it. That's going to help him in so many ways because a lot of this stuff is kind of a media campaign. So that's what we're going to need from them. So right now, it's only they didn't come out. The Magic were not on either one of those 2 nights. It makes sense to an extent, but we're going to hope that they are going to have more than the typical amount of national TV games. Again, last year we ended up with 7, which isn't horrible, but we average in the last 15 years or so, we only average about 4 national television games per season. we're also hoping they're not going to be NBA TV nationally televised games. We want to be on the NBCs, the Amazon Primes. We want to be on ESPN and ABC. We want to be on those marquee matchups because we see ourselves as a marquee franchise again. So that's where we are with the national TV schedule. Stay tuned. Tomorrow they'll release it, and then we will see where the Magic end up in that respect. Second topic, EuroBasket prep. So we have three players playing in EuroBasket, if you didn't know. We have two Germans. We have Tristan da Silva and Franz Wagner, and a Georgian, uh, Go Good the Batadze is playing for the national television for the national team. So if we look back at this weekend, Georgia played two games, but one of them was behind closed doors. So there was no footage at all of it. And it was a bit spotty on trying to find links and all to some of these games. But in the end, we were able to find out. That's why you can also see in the numbers here, we're missing some of the numbers are missing, partially because it's also a bit difficult to get box scores like we normally are used to at ESPN.com or NBA.com or any of those things. So if there's a place that you get your box scores, put it down in the comments so that I can I can find the more accurate information. But if we're going to look at the numbers, Franz Wagner was very efficient this past weekend. They played on Friday and Sunday against Slovenia. So Franz in the first game had 18 points, 18 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists, shot 7 of 10 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. In the second game on Sunday, he scored 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 of 13 from the field, and 0 of 3 from 3. The big thing with Franz, of course, is the 3-point shooting. That's the one negative in his game that everyone wants to harp on, and it makes sense because if he was shooting 35%, then he would have likely been an all-star last year. He would have likely been closer to all NBA. He needs to hit those threes. As you can see so far in 2 games, he's 1 of 6. But if you look at them, they're much more fluid. There's a lot of talk about a hitch in his three. I see the hitch more pronounced when people kind of leave him alone. It's more of a psychological thing. They back off saying, he's not going to make it. And that's when he has too much time and he overthinks, as he says it himself. And he just kind of had a bit of a hitch. When he has to dribble and go right off the dribble and shoot, he has less of a hitch, especially if there's a guy near him because he knows he has to get it off sooner. So in the first 2 games, from what we've seen, or at least in the footage that I was able to see, even off the bounce, he shot it more fluidly. So that's a very good thing. We of course need him to shoot not 29%. We need him to shoot closer to the league average or way above average if that's where it ends up. So that's where we are with Franz. He averaged 17.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, 3 assists on 57% shooting and 17% shooting from 3 in those 2 games. Tristan da Silva chipped in as well. Tristan's playing for the national team with his brother, Oscar. He is averaging 6.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, and an assist, and he's had at least 1 3 in both games. Tristan, if you watched my player profile that just came out yesterday, Tristan, the big thing we need to focus on is making sure he stays in the corner or he develops a more consistent 3-point shot above the arc or above the break. In the games here with Germany, he's done a good job of staying in the corner for the most part. There is a footage that I'm going to show. I have some film in the next bit here that also shows him shooting off the dribble. Those are the 2 areas of growth for him, is shooting off the dribble and shooting above the break. So both those things look like he's working on. He worked on it in summer league. He did a really good job in summer league as well to continue that development. And that's the hope, that he's able to have a more well-rounded 3-point shot, as well as being able to shoot off the dribble as opposed to just catch and shoot. So we'll look at the tape in a second. Real quick though, Goga Bitadze played in the game yesterday for Georgia. Like I mentioned, they had 2 games. They had one behind closed doors for some reason, and then they played against Lithuania yesterday. And he had 8 points, 5 rebounds, Again, it's a bit hard to get some of the box score information, but he did hit a three, so that's something that we saw on his social medias that he's working on right now. He's working on that. It seems the way the team is constructed, his role is different. As I mentioned in Goga's player profile, a lot of times when you're evaluating these guys, it's all about the role. So on the Magic, Gogo's role is not to be an offensive juggernaut. He's there for defense. He's there for shot blocking. He's there for rebounding, and of course, tip-ins and putbacks and some of the smaller things are what we're looking for. We're not looking for him to be a sharpshooter. But it seems on his national team, it seems that he needs to be a bit more out on the in the perimeter, looking at a lot of the footage from that game, which also was a bit difficult. But we're able to scrounge some footage for you guys. So far, Franz is killing it. Tristan is doing as he needs to, and Goga had an okay game. He shot 2 of 8, but at least we saw some improvement, at least on the 3-point range. And he did have a good little post up lefty hook that I will show you in a second. So if we look at the coverage here that I was able to find on YouTube, we're going to see a lot of the highlights that I mentioned before. So this one, Franz has the ball to stay with the ball, and Franz has a nice, easy driving lane. And since it was so good, we're watching it twice. Then here's his pull up. You see, there was no hitch in that one. Right off the ball, right off the bounce. Nice and easy. Little quick fast break for him. Ball's in. This one is for Tristan. So again, as I mentioned, we want him in the corner. He shot 37% from the corner this past season, but if he can continue to grow all around the arc, then that will definitely be helpful for him and for the Magic. So here he relocates into space, splash. And this one is Franz again off the bounce. He went directly from one. He's going to do his side step, kind of fades a little bit. No hitch. But as I mentioned, I didn't see the hitch very much when he was shooting in front of a guy. It was mostly when he was wide open. Tristan gets the bounce. Franz, we know he can do this. Nice little finger roll. Again, driving to the basket. Nobody in Slovenia had anything to do. They couldn't do anything against Franz in that respect. So these are all from the first game. So it was a very efficient game, as I mentioned. Nice curl over. So let's hope that Franz is able to get those type of easy baskets for the rest of his teammates, especially in the corner. Hopefully that's Tristan or that's Tyus or that's Jalen or that's someone over in the corner there to hit that three. So this is footage from the second game. They played in Mannheim in this the second prep game. As we can see, there's a very low angle. That's why there's a guy in front of the camera here. But this one's for Tristan. As I mentioned before, he's not over in the corner. He's above the break, off the dribble too. So if he's able to hit this shot more often, that's going to be great for him and for the Magic. Franz mentioned during some media availability recently that he's been working on his post up. So, he's a small forward for us on the Magic. Obviously, he can also play power. He's having to play power because they're a bit smaller in the national team this year without Hartenstein and without Daniel Tyus playing. So he's a bit more in the block. And here's how that's going so far. Nice quick step. Luckily, he's really quick and really good around the basket. So he's going to be able to punish guys in the NBA if this is one of the things the Magic want to continue to work on. He also got his little floater game. It's the ball in open court. Little hot potato with Dennis Schroeder. We'll just watch it again. Here's going to be another highlight. Like I mentioned, that was one highlight. Is another highlight. Again, in the open court, he's going to alley-oop it up to Bonga. Eek. Bad fall there. A little disrespect on that, but either way, here's another angle on that one. Franz with the ball again, right off the dribble. Direct. They haven't left him open, so we'll see in other games how he shoots the three. Because again, off the bounce, he doesn't have as pronounced of a hitch. And here's the defensive block. Boom! We're gonna get that in every single angle. This one's up close. Chase down block by Franz. Franz is, I feel it at least a second team. If there was a third team All NBA, he would have likely been that last year if he would have qualified, because Franz is good on the ball. He doesn't get this many blocks, but that's something that he can continue to work on. It's alley for Tristan. With Tristan being in the corner, and if he can up his percentage from 37 to 40 or plus, then that's also going to help. He's going to be able to stay in the corner. People are going to have to either stay with him, and then it's going to be easier driving lanes for that player there. Or if they step up, then Tristan has easy backdoor opportunities all day long. Check the player recap. I talk about that a lot. Or the player profile. Nice. Nice. So then this here, the last bit is for Goga. We have a couple clips for Goga. So it's a pick and pop here. Goga's the one with the man bun now. Nice, hits that three. And then here's his from the second half, another opportunity in the post. Again, his role's a little different on his national team. So nice lefty. Those are our guys that played in the prep games. So I think in the end, they did pretty well. Their prep games. EuroBasket doesn't start till the end of August, so there's still more games ahead. And I will bring, at worst, I'll put together some shorts for each of the game, because there may not be that much to discuss for every single game. I will likely do some lives as well for the EuroBasket games at the end of August, so join me if you'd like. Lastly, Trae Young. To me, this is not necessarily a story. It's become a story because of the odds that have now put the Magic at the top of the odds to get Trae Young to start next season. As we know, the salary, for many reasons, it's unlikely. Salary cap reasons, because we're so top heavy with our salary cap, we would likely have to get rid of at least 2 or 3 players to get Trae Young. So just fiscally, it doesn't make sense, especially with how expensive we're going to be moving forward. His talks for a new contract have stalled or just haven't really happened with Atlanta. So that's why this has become a national story the last couple days. Now, the good thing is that the Magic are enough of a contender that all of a sudden we're in these conversations. This is the kind of thing, as I mentioned before, about national coverage with different podcasts talking about us, like the Zach Lowe's and the Ringers and Yahoo Sports. All these different podcasts are talking about the Magic in a positive light. So that's great. Again, that's good. We need that narrative. The only thing is that then we're going to start getting annoyed with maybe some of these non-stories that become stories, like the betting odds. And so we're the odds-on favorite to get Trae Young at plus 250 on different websites from Vegas. Now, again, that doesn't mean we're going to get him. I would suspect we're not going to get him, but for 2 reasons is why I think this is a bit of at least a topic. Maybe it's not a news story because we're not going to get him, but the 2 things are, one, like I mentioned, it's good that we're in the conversation. We have to continue to be in the conversation for these kind of things, even if it does start to get a bit annoying. Just imagine the Bucks fans right now, the Milwaukee Bucks fans listening to every day how Giannis is leaving, how Giannis is leaving, how Giannis is leaving. And for those old enough can remember the Dwightmare that became a topic all the time for the Magic at the beginning of the 2010s. So it's been a while since we've been in these conversations, but again, it's a good thing. Now, the other thing is I feel he's being a little too disrespected at this point. Like, I wouldn't say, like, maybe he's not he's definitely not a good fit for the Magic when it comes to our defense, our defensive identity. But he's not as bad as people let off right now. I think it's been a couple of years that he's been part of the team that's only been kind of relegated to the play-in tournament. And maybe that's why his stock is, or at least the discourse around him has really started to plummet a bit. But if you look at his stats, he led the league in assists last year. He's typically at least the last 3 seasons he was over 10 assists a game, and even before that he was at 9 assists a game. So in his 7 years, he's averaging 9.8 assists a game, and really for the Magic and why he's been kind of a discussion point pre Desmond Bain was we need somebody to handle the ball. We need somebody to orchestrate. We need somebody to be the one to have the ball and to get the guys easy baskets. Say what you will about Trae Young, but he's able to distribute the ball. His shooting isn't where we would necessarily want it. But again, can beggars be choosers? Last year we had guys shooting in the 20s, 20 percentile. So at 34% for him, that's still way better than a lot of the guys on our team. So the issue, of course, would be the defense. He's very slight. That's just his makeup, and that it is what it is. He's a bit shorter and he's a bit more slight. So the big thing is that it didn't seem like he gave I always say like we need dogs, we need people that give up, and he didn't have any give up until last season. He was setting picks way more, as well as being on ball and at least carrying and showing some bit of effort on defense. And that's really all that anybody can ask in a lot of ways. Just be in the right place and show some effort. So I just wanted to posit here that Trae Young isn't as bad as it feels that people are talking about him now. Is he right for the Magic? No, I don't believe so. I don't believe we're going to get him anyway. So it's not much of a story other than the fact that, or this discussion, other than the fact that we've got we're in the conversation now. We're in the conversation, and the fact that he's not as bad as basically is being portrayed, because he's done it in the playoffs. He had his whole thing with New York a few years back in the playoffs. So we've seen him do it when he has a good team around him, and the Magic is even like pre Desmond Bain, we were a good team that if we had someone that can space the floor and someone that can distribute the ball, that would have really helped us. Again, he's really expensive, so that would have been the pressure point even back then. But all in all, it's good that we're in the conversation about these type of things, and Trae Young isn't as bad as you might think. So I just wanted to thank you very much for watching this, for again spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. It's always a pleasure to have you. Again, there's 3 things you got to do. You got to click subscribe so you don't miss on any contact. You got to leave a comment below, and you got to hit that like button, because it really helps the channel by having more eyeballs on it. More eyeballs means greater attention, which means I can do this more and release more content for you guys. So again, really appreciate you. I hope you're having a great day.